A Canadian company that manufactures camouflage uniforms has created a mind-blowing, light-bending material that can make objects seemingly disappear. Hyperstealth Biotechnology Corp. has announced 4 patent applications for quantum stealth. It's its own version of the fantasy cloak that could be used to make things appear to be invisible. It can hide a person, a vehicle, a ship, spacecraft, and even buildings. There's no power source, it's paper thin, and inexpensive. Guy Kramer, CEO of the company, told the UK Express that he expects to see practical applications for this technology in less than a year. It basically bends light like a glass of water does where a spoon or straw looks bent. As well as making objects close to invisible to the naked eye, the material also conceals them from infrared and ultraviolet imagers. This is made possible through something called a lenticular lens, a corrugated sheet where each ridge is made up of a convex or an outward curving lens. These are most commonly found in 3D bookmarks or collectible football cards, but in this case, they are left clear rather than being printed on. When multiple lenticular sheets with different lens distributions are layered in just the right way, they are able to refract light at countless different angles to create dead spots. Outside of military applications, Kramer also claims that he was able to use the material to triple the energy output of solar panels. So we may very well see this technology in a variety of new and futuristic products.
I'm Guy Kramer, President and CEO of Hyperstealth Biotechnology Corporation, and in 2010 I figured out invisibility. Quantum stealth is a patent-pending light-bending material that works by bending the light so that only the background is visible and a target, such as a person, is removed from view when behind this material.
This pool is not for the faint of heart and is one of the most beautiful yet terrifying things I've ever seen. The luxury high-rise's 42nd story rooftop pool extends 10 feet beyond the face of the building. People can now have the experience to swim about 500 feet above the street while watching pedestrians stop and stare from below. The acrylic glass used for the pool is 8 inches thick, and the building itself was only just finished in November 2016. The rental prices range from around $1,800 a month for a studio apartment to $18,000 a month for a pool-adjacent penthouse. This residence tower in downtown Houston is called Market Square Tower, and is also the highest pool in Texas. While some are adding the pool to their bucket list, others are opposed to its engineering. Here's a video of someone walking through the pool and out onto the glass observation deck. Italy's tree buildings, more commonly known as the vertical forest, may look like a bizarre art installation from the future, but it's actually quite real. The twin high-rises were completed in 2014 and include nearly 500 medium and large trees, 300 small trees, 5,000 shrubs, and nearly 15,000 plants, as well as more than 100 residential apartments. Not to mention, they're incredible for the environment. Each year, the towers can transform approximately 44,000 pounds of carbon dioxide into oxygen. Each vertical forest equals in trees an area of around 20,000 square meters of forest. These tree buildings produce humidity, absorb CO2 and dust particles, and produce oxygen. The building is constructed completely in concrete. The columns are made of reinforced concrete, and the floors are post-tensioned reinforced concrete to support the towering heights and heavy vegetation. You already know that home insurance, car insurance, and life insurance exists. But what about alien abduction insurance? For just $19.95, you can get just that from a St. Lawrence agency in Almonte Springs, Florida. The unique company has sold more than 6,000 policies to date, all for $10 million worth of coverage, according to the Miami Herald. However, in order to qualify for the claim, you'll have to make your way back to Earth. And not just that, you'll also need the signature of an authorized on-board alien. A London-based firm also offers the insurance and has sold more than 30,000 alien abduction insurance policies throughout Europe. If you come across Australia's Lake Hillier or Hutt Lagoon without knowing anything about them, you might think that you had wandered into a candy land like Dream World. And that's because both the lake and the lagoon are bubblegum pink in color. But don't expect the taste to reflect that of the color, because the coloring is thought to be due to the high levels of salt in the water. It's a strange sight, to say the least. The pink lake neighbors the dark blue waters of the Indian Ocean, with a strip of lush green forest acting as a barrier. Although you can see the lake by boat, one of the best ways to take in the spectacle is from the air, on a scenic flight. Fortunately, these massive rodents went extinct around the end of the last ice age, some 10,000 years ago. The animals weighed more than 200 pounds and were similar in size to modern-day black bears. The giant beaver was once a highly successful species, a supersized version of the modern beaver in appearance, but it had two crucial differences. The giant beaver lacked the iconic paddle-shaped tail we see on today's modern beavers. Instead, it had a long, skinny tail like a muskrat. Their teeth also different. Modern beaver incisors are sharp and chisel-like. Giant beaver incisors were bulkier and curved and lacked a sharp cutting edge. The disappearance of the giant beaver coincides with that of many other large-bodied Ice Age animals, including the iconic woolly mammoth. It seems most of the larger species died out many years before our time. Located in northwest China, the Rainbow Mountain Range is covered in an array of colors, which are the result of sandstone and minerals that have been pressed together for more than 24 million years. Candy-colored mountains with stripes of blue, vibrant magenta, canary yellow, and blood orange. The incredible Technicolor peaks are a local tourist attraction and seem as if they could be made by man, although their coloration is a completely natural phenomenon. In 2010, Rainbow Mountain was named a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But China is not the only country in the world with these vivid rock formations. Canada is home to what's called the Rainbow Range. These mountains in British Columbia are said to have gotten their coloration from heavy mineralization. In Japan, you can find pears, apples, watermelons, and more in the shape of cubes, hearts, people, and many other things. There are also heart and star-shaped cucumbers. You can buy fruit molds to grow your own oddly shaped fruit, or buy it pre-grown. However, a Japanese farmer perfected the art. One of his creations include tennis ball strawberries that he sells for around $4,000 a piece at a luxury fruit market in Japan. He's harvested grapes that sold for a record-breaking $300 per grape. Believe it or not, vampire deer with fangs really do exist. Instead of growing large antlers during mating season like most deer, male fanged deer have large tusk-like teeth instead. They use them as weapons during fights with predators. It's a sight straight out of a horror movie, a deer with two long, glistening fangs. And this vampire deer is no hoax. This deer is real, but extremely rare. It lives in the Himalayas of northern India and northern Afghanistan. It is considered endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. The vampire deer is also called the Chinese water deer and have been on record in Great Britain since the 1870s. Vampire deer were actually kept in the London Zoo up until 1896. Chinese villagers occasionally spot them, but not much is known of the animal's habitats and lifestyle. There's also a zombie deer. They basically appear as it sounds. Zombie deer roam 24 states in the U.S., sickened by a disease that reduces them to stumbling, drooling creatures. They can become more aggressive and less afraid of humans, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. It's thought to spread through direct contact with body fluids or by drinking contaminated water. The CDC said the disease is always fatal. As of August, the CDC reported infected deer, elk, and moose in 227 counties across 24 states, primarily clustered in Wyoming, Colorado, and Kansas. There's a low risk of transmission to humans. However, the CDC warned hunters that the species barrier may not fully protect them from contracting the animal disease. Chronic wasting disease can incubate for more than a year before animals present symptoms, so the CDC recommends hunters test meat before consuming it. Wearing proper equipment, minimizing time spent handling their brains and spinal tissue where the disease originates can also prevent the infection. But if you ask me, this sounds like another one, soon making its way to humans. An artist and designer named Dominic Wilcox created the techie shoes with a sensor in the heel and LED lights on the top that light up and point you in the right direction. The wearer simply uploads the required destination to the shoes via the custom-made mapping software and the USB cable. The USB connection also charges the battery in each shoe, similar to those found in mobile phones. The GPS receiver switches on when the wearer clicks their heels together, just like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. The shoes then wirelessly connect to each other, and display the route in the destination via the 14 LED lights. The string of lights on the right shoe indicate distance to the destination, and the lights on the left shoe indicate the direction. Similarly, you can also find GPS insoles, like these smart soles, and GPS children's shoes as well. There are plenty of beautiful white sand beaches, but in China, there's a beach that's deep crimson in color due to the fact that it's covered by red seaweed instead of sand. The seaweed begins to grow during April and May and is green throughout the summer. When autumn comes, it turns a radiant shade of red. A huge attraction of the island and arguably one of the most famous beaches in the world. To reach the beach, you have to walk a couple of minutes or you can access it by boat. A great number of visitors come to the Red Beach just to stare and photograph it. It's enclosed by steep red hills that create a captivating scene, and if you stand on the top, you will see enormous volcanic rocks situated out in the sea. There are very few people left in Centralia, Pennsylvania, and that's for a very good reason. This town has been on fire for more than 50 years. The strange situation started back in 1962 when a fire was purposefully set to burn out a landfill. Unfortunately, because the landfill had also been an old strip mine pit, which was connected to a series of coal mine tunnels, the initial fire sparked a raging underground inferno. The town was almost completely abandoned and was condemned by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in 1992. There's apparently enough coal in the tunnels to fuel the fire for another 250 years. As the years went on, the ground beneath the city itself became hotter and hotter, reaching over 900 degrees Fahrenheit in some locations. Smoke poured from sinkholes and gas-filled basements. Residents started to report health problems, and homes began to tilt. Graves in the town's 2 cemeteries are believed to have dropped into the abyss of fire that rages below them. Earlier that year, a 12-year-old boy fell into a sudden sinkhole created by the fire. Rather than attempt to put out the fire, Congress decided to buy out its residents, paying them to move. All of the town's buildings were condemned, its zip code eliminated. 7 residents remained via court order because they are forbidden from passing down their property or selling it. Today, the town still burns as one of the 38 known active mining fires in Pennsylvania. According to the state's Department of Environmental Protection, the fire could burn for another century if left uncontrolled. A geologist named Steve Jones told the Smithsonian, "Putting out this fire is just an impossible dream." They've officially announced the discovery of a new species on July 17, 1992, and it's called the Asian unicorn. So it's not exactly what myth describes as a unicorn, but it's the first large mammal to be discovered in the area for the past 50 years. A team of surveyors found a skull featuring a pair of strange, long, and pointed horns. They came across a similar pair in the northeastern region of the reserve the following day. The Asian unicorn, or also known as the saola, is related to wild cattle that lives in remote areas of Vietnam and Laos. Several sightings were made in 1999, and the next confirmed sighting wasn't until 2010, when villagers in Laos captured an adult male and brought it back to their village. Unfortunately, captivity killed the unicorn, but this does prove the animal still survives in the region. There are no saolas in captivity anywhere in the world, and this species is considered highly endangered. The largest crab on the planet is the Japanese spider crab. It's a monstrous-looking sea creature that tends to weigh in at around 40 pounds and has legs that can stretch up to 15 feet. They can also live up to 100 years, which might be the longest lifespan of any known crab, according to the Smithsonian Institute. The spider crabs are considered a prized delicacy in many parts of Japan, and they are typically caught using a small trawling net. Harvesting of the crab is forbidden during the spring when crabs move to shallower water to reproduce. Populations of this species of crab have diminished over recent years, and there are many efforts to protect them. The BioRobot refrigerator can mount on a wall, mount horizontally, vertically, or even on the ceiling. The fridge does not have a motor or any other traditional technology like most refrigerators. The gel does all the work. So 90% of the appliance is actual usable space. To use the fridge, you basically place food into its biopolymer gel, which has no odor and is not sticky, where food is suspended and cooled until you need it again. The cooling agents are the biorobots in the gel that use luminescence to preserve food. Viability aside, the fridge is definitely a huge step forward in terms of rethinking the design of one of our most used appliances. One of the best things about the concept is that it uses zero energy for cooling. It just needs energy for its little control pad. Compared to the typical modern fridge, which uses about 8% of a household's energy, this nifty-looking gadget of the future could cut our energy use significantly. Our quest for things you never knew existed has come to an end, but there's an entire world of amazing things out there, things you may never know about, that you can't live without. Until next time, I'm Jack Helms, and thanks for joining me in our search for amazing things.